Alrighty, hello there YouTube. Bruised here again. Welcome back to No, I'm Not Addicted. I can quit anytime I want. What do you mean you're taking the game away from me? Today we're talking back on Project Diablo 2. We've gone back to Project Diablo 2 while we're still kind of in the middle of waiting for some more stuff with Path of Exile. So exciting, couple weeks. But anyway, today we have this character here, which is a Decoy Amazon, level 88. As you can see here, Bruised BAMA. If you are a Path of Exile player and you happen to know what BAMA is, which is Blink Arrow, Mirror Arrow from Path of Exile, it plays pretty similarly to that skill and that kind of setup. It's a lot of fun, it's very solid, but it does take some work and it does take a little bit of... I would say there are some big items that once you get them, they turn this character to become very comfortable, I would say, versus you know, how some of the other Amazon builds that you might be able to do. But regardless, it's a lot of fun. It's a cool character. It's a neat little concept here, and yeah, we're gonna do just a very quick. I'm gonna do a very quick showcase first. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna do a bail run as much as I normally would. As much as I considered doing a map, maps take just a little bit too long. They are very they're very open, they're very long. I don't know the layouts themselves very well or the bosses or anything like that. But so yeah, we're just gonna say screw it. We're just gonna teleport around. And then I will go over gear and early game and all that kind of stuff once we go through Worldstone Keep. But for now, we'll go through Worldstone Keep. Also, thank God I did not get the souls in here, it seems. Might get them at level 4, but that's as much. Ah. It's those guys. Oh, there are some in here. They're just waiting in the... They're waiting in the hole. Last one. Oh, this guy got it. Okay. And yeah, and then as you see, this is what you're doing a lot of the times. You're just placing out your decoys. You get 3 of them, and then you're just kind of sitting back and you just blap away. You let your Valkyries, you let your decoys mostly do the work. We're using Strafe ourselves as well, because it is high level and does fairly decent damage by itself, even with us not really having any buffs, or at least mostly buffing these guys rather than ourselves. And then yeah, and then you just put out, you know, like an inner side or whatever else. And so I'm gonna go back and cleanse that point because that poison's always brutal. And my resistances right now are not good. They are not good. But yeah, that's kind of our whole setup. Is we're letting our Valkyries and our decoys do most of the work. Like I said, it lets you be really safe because you can place your Valkyries wherever as long as you can see them. So you place them in just like a kind of open area or like, you know, especially to like first engage. You have your decoys first engage on enemies, and then after that you have your Valkyries going in front line, and then you can move your decoys back, and it makes a really big difference. Makes a big difference. But yeah, like pretty good damage, and again, you get to just be really safe. And then against Bale here, Bale might be annoying. It's annoying. I'll talk about this a little bit later as well, but my one downside I will say is that the decoys are pretty dumb. And it also probably has something to do with how Strafe itself works. But I think it's kind of a mix of both. Decoys are a little bit dumb, and Strafe itself works in kind of a way that might be a little bit detrimental to the decoys themselves. Yeah, there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. He's dead. We're done. But yeah, that's how this build plays out though. So you know, we're going in. We throw our decoys down. We already have we're keeping an eye on our Valkyries to make sure that they're alive. We have Vigor Aura here with our Act 1 Mercenary. I'll go into her gear a little bit more later. And yeah, that's sort of our whole setup. That's our whole shtick, and it's pretty fun. I'll even go kill this guy with it. Yeah, that's like how you set up right there. You do that, you do a little bit of inner sight, and then you just lay into him with your own bow. And there you go. That's what we're here to do. So, with that, though, we can kind of roll into. We'll talk about skills first, and then I'll roll into gear after that. So first up, skills, and especially early game. What we're really going to be doing early game is you'll pretty much just put 1 point into critical strike, or actually, you'll put your first point into magic arrow, and then you'll take a next point into critical strike, and you're just gonna be dumping points into critical strike, and then you'll come over here and take multi shot at level at whatever it is, 6, I think, is this row, so it should be level 6, 12, 18. So basically just point dump into critical strike after you get multiple shot until you get down to guided arrow. Throw 1 or 2 points here and there into like inner sight, evade, all that kind of stuff. And then once you get into decoy, then go ahead and you can just start point dumping decoy. And at level 24, you can take 1 point into strafe as well, just to kind of lock it in at any global Amazon levels you have at that level as well. So then start applying. And then from there, yeah, it's pretty much just what our total here is going to be you're pumping decoy to 21st because that lets us give that gives us an extra copy at 10 and 20. That's why we have 3 decoys. And then after that, we're pumping Valkyrie actually, and we do get an additional Valkyrie at levels 20 and 30. So as you see right now, we're level 34 total. So I have 3 Valkyries out, which is very nice, very handy. They're very tanky once you invest into them. I will say, Valkyries early in this mod are very not tanky. They are very, very squishy. They require an investment. So that's kind of why we're investing into them second. And also the other reason is because the damage bonus that Decoy gets from Strafe and Valkyrie is the same damage as you see there. It's 10% regardless. So we're going to invest into Valkyries early, get our Valkyries up. And then once we have our Valkyries up, then these two feed into each other very nicely, and we have kind of our own tank setup going on there. After you cap your Valkyrie levels, then you're going to go ahead and dump your points into Strafe. Just put as many points, put all of your cap points into Strafe. After that, I think this kind of becomes a little bit more up to you. I decided to focus into Penetrate because this gives us and our decoys way more attack rating, and also gives us enemy physical resistance pierce. You get 1% every 2 base levels. So that's kind of what I'm point dumping right now. And I believe next level, 34, 33. Next level, Penetrate will be max level, and it'll be 10% physical pierce, which will be very nice to have. Just kind of have that as an extra damage option. But you could optionally go into critical strike as well. I don't know if it'll probably go up to, I imagine, 70. If I had to guess, it'll be 74% most likely. But I really couldn't decide which option was better. I figured that just Penetrate was better. And then if you keep leveling up from there, just keep dumping into critical strike again. Because critical strike is good, but it scales really hard to level to 50, 60%-ish. And then after that, it's just 1% per level. Sorry, excuse me. But after that, it's like 1% per level. So it's very kind of middling after a bit. So that was another reason I wanted to go Penetrate here. And that's kind of all that you're doing. And then, of course, stat-wise, get enough strength for gear, get enough dexterity for gear, point dump the rest into vitality. You're golden. And then itemization-wise, so this is kind of we'll start off with the bow, which I'm using a loyalty. And I've heard a couple other people say if you wanted to do either a different version of this character or this build, you could use a Demon Machine crossbow. And somebody else also said that they're using Ebengard, I believe, is the name of that bow. I'd have to look it up on the side. But regardless, there's another bow. There's a unique bow. I believe it's called Ebengard or something along those lines. And you could use that as well. That gives, I believe, 5 levels to passive and magic skills, so it's also pretty decent. But I decided I wanted to go with loyalty here. I really like loyalty for a couple of reasons, and that is because it still gives us passive magic skills. It gives us decoy and strafe levels, which is all good things. But the other thing is the 60 faster cast rate. It feels really good when you can be casting your decoys out very quickly. And like I said, that kind of makes this a bit more of a BAMA playstyle, I think, too. It kind of enables you to just do that playstyle of running around and just placing them down. So I would say it's up to you. You get yourself a bow base like this as well. This has 3 to bow and crossbow skills on it as well. And then ideally you hit the 3 decoy, 3 strafe. But it's a really cheap rune word. The highest rune word here is bull. So it's a very cheap rune word overall to make too. Plenty of options, plenty of time to be able to do it. I like this thing a lot, I think, and so this is where I'm going to keep it. But like I said, there are options if you wanted to go a different route. Arrow-wise, you're still just looking, or quiver-wise, you're looking specifically for +2 to passive and magic skills. And then probably from there, you're looking for stuff like resistances if you need to cover that. You're looking for a faster run walk speed just because that's comfortable. And there's a couple other, I'm sure, other things, more added damage, more life, whatever else. You know, there are other options for arrows as well, but this one decent. You can also corrupt it into something else that's better too. So plenty of options with the quiver, but this is what I have right now, and it's pretty good. Coronet here. So ideally, you'd probably get like a diadem or if you have a Harlequin crest. There you go, Harlequin crest. That will also work. And yeah, you just use that instead. But +2 levels is all that we're looking for there. Just a classic +3 passive magic skills, 76 life here. Again, any kind of like, if you got at least a +2 all skiller, I would definitely use a +2 all skiller. Or if you got a +2 passive magic skills, +2 rare passive magic skills that has some better stuff on it, by all means, use that instead. Basically, your only goal is to get to the level 30 breakpoint for Valkyrie, and that's sort of it. After that, it's just kind of like a good continuation bonus from there. It's kind of more like a consolation prize from there. I'm using an Atma's Whale. There are plenty of other options here. There is Spirit Shroud. While you're leveling, you can use, I think, what is it, Myth? Myth for Amazon? There's the Amazon rune word. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name of it, but you could use that one. You could use Spirit Shroud if you have that. You could use pretty much any number of things. While you're leveling, you know, use just like a Stealth or something. You could use a Mavina's Embrace if you have one of these. That's pretty decent also. So we have plenty of options in the chess piece market, but you basically just want plus levels. Your ideal endgame one, I won't lie to you, is probably Enigma or Chains of Honor. Both of those are just going to be really good and will feel very good to build. Probably Enigma is a little bit better. Wow, who guessed it? Enigma as your final item. Glove-wise, we're using passive magic skillers with faster cast rate, some resistances, and some other goodies. That's more or less all that I can think of to really there. Ring-wise, of course, if you have a Sodge or something like that, but otherwise you're just looking for faster cast rate and resistances. Belt, same thing, faster cast rate, life, resistances, all that good stuff. Boots, faster run walk speed, resistances, everything else. And even with all of this resistance I have here, my resistances are still pretty middling. But because of how safe this character is, where you can kind of really be standing far away and still continue to like put your decoys out and like put them out like a wall away, and enemies really will make it their effort to attack your decoys and Valkyries first. It actually is it's actually very safe. Even more so, you just kind of have to make sure you're not getting slapped by stuff. And then oh, charm wise, we just have, again, pretty usual stuff. We're mostly getting life and resistances where you can, and then a couple all res, whatever else, getting life resistances. Get yourself some passive and magic find grand charms if possible. I think I have 2 of them. I just have Geeds in here. And then I have a bow and crossbow skiller. This would probably still be better with where's that one? There it is, passive magic skills. This would probably be better if it was just another passive magic skills, but I'm not going to argue with a bow and crossbow skills as well. That's still going to be more damage for us. So that is the entire character. Oh, and then in the background, I'm using a spell steal. This is mostly for blink, occasionally for the amplified damage, but mostly for the blink charges. I do have a Nages in here too, but I have a ton of money and I don't mind I like having 60 charges instead, so running around with that currently. For our Mercenary, this is where things get a little bit spicy too. So I am using a Act 1 Vigor Mercenary. And if you're wondering what Act 1, what a Vigor Mercenary does or what it really matters, Meditation is just going to be mana. Vigor is move speed, and we already have slow movement if you really want to use it. I don't think it's worth using. But Vigor, though, is just going to give us a ton of move speed, so as you can see, I'm fast as fuck, boy. So we get a good amount of speed as we're running around with Vigor Aura, and it feels very nice to have. So that's just kind of a quality of life Mercenary. You could absolutely use, of course, a Might Mercenary here in Act 5. You could use one of those barbs. You could use a Battle Order barb as well if you really want to. That will help make your Valkyries and everybody even tankier, which would also not be a bad thing. But something else I would recommend, especially early game, whenever you don't have, a way to break physical immunities. Tyrael here, his Dark Mercenaries are actually really good for for exactly that. The Dark Mercenaries are necromancers that will cast amplified damage. They don't have an aura, but they do cast amplified damage, and also they do like bone spear and teeth and stuff. So they do magic damage, which inevitably actually makes them really good for clearing and cleaning up any fizz immunities anyway, which is very helpful, especially early on. I actually had one of those guys for a little while, and then when I got one of the items I'll show on my mercenaries gear, then I pivoted back over to the Act 1 mercenary, but I was using him for a little while just to help break immunities and kind of make things more consistent. So very helpful for that. And I just had like an insight on him or some other legendary staff or whatnot. I have too much stuff. I hoard everything in this game, and now I don't know where anything is. Yeah, I think I had Spire of Lazarus on him. You could Spire Lazarus, Ondal's Wisdom, whatever. Something like that. But yeah, so that's probably the option as far as mercenaries go. And then let's see, we'll take a look at the actual gear, talk about that a little bit. So she is using a Witch Wild String bow, and this is the main reason I even brought her back, is because this gives her a chance to cast level 31 amplified damage on striking. So as long as she's pew-pewing away, which she should be in the back line, letting the Valkyries and the Decoys be the front line, then she'll be casting amplified damage on our target, and usually that will break the fizz immunities themselves. Also, occasionally it won't, but for the most part, that breaks most fizz immunities in the game as is, and it's fairly consistent at 14% actually with her attack speed. She's pretty consistent about it. Like I said, it's not the most consistent, but she is fairly consistent with it. If you were able to be a Rich Lord, then you could also create the Wrath. Yeah, Wrath, I believe, is the rune word for it. You could get Wrath. You could do a Wrath setup, which then I think gives if you put it on your mercenary, I think I believe it was a 60% chance to cast I believe it's also still level 31 amplified damage. So would also be an incredibly good option. Would not fault you for taking that if you had the ability to make one. I do not have the ability to make one, so hence we have this. And then, like I said, I just like having Vigor Aura on, so I just have. That was kind of the reason I went back to her instead of keeping with the Act 4 mercenary. So it's just nice to have that speed, you know. And then just throw some Shale runes in it, just so that way she's attacking even faster and can actually be trying to proc those amplified damage more. So we just have a Sazabi's. Otherwise, nothing else too crazy. You know, Duriel Shell to keep her from being frozen, and some other defenses. Razor Tail for the Pierce, actually, and the enhanced damage, all that good stuff, or the max damage and everything. Excuse me. And then yeah, just some attack speed, generic gloves, some generic boots over here as well that just keep doing resistances and whatnot. These could actually used to be a lot better. So there are definitely better options here, but I just don't have them right now. And then a bow and crossbow skiller with amp damage and some other added damage. You can absolutely get quivers that are way better than this, that have a lot more added damage. I do believe they get bonuses from +2 levels. I think that does apply to them. I can't remember for sure. If I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. But I believe that does apply to them as well. So you just get some kind of like really big damage quiver, and if you find plus levels as well, then great. But if not, it's also no big deal. Again, she's mostly here for support with amp damage and vigor. So very cool, very fun little character, like I was talking about. I don't think I have too many more notes. Like I said, the only things with this character that I'm planning to really upgrade in the future, and if you want to just take a look at the character itself, I will have a link in the description to the Project Diablo 2 armory for the character, and you can take a quick look if you would like to. But yeah, otherwise my own plans with the character is to continue doing some endgame stuff. Hopefully I can. It does single target very well, and is also pretty safe because of, like I said, Valkyries and Decoys. My main plans is to get rid of this coronet. Obviously, it's not good, and and it should go, but I just have not found anything better yet. So coronet needs to go. That'll be replaced. This amulet, I would really like to get out of here. And if I can, I also really want to get rid of Atma's Whale and get something better here, but I don't know that I will. Outside of that, probably just like looking for better boots and a couple other things. So a couple minor upgrades to still be made, a couple upgrades to still be had. And yeah, that's kind of this character in a nutshell. But it's been a very cruisy experience, very fun to just kind of run around and get some good things going with this wild little character here. So I hope that you enjoy this quick video, quick build guide that I threw together. If you also would like to see more of this character being played to an actual extent, if you would like to see some actual in-game play through a little bit more and be doing a couple maps and all that kind of good stuff, my alternate channel actually called Leveling with Brews that I started just this week will have more of that for you. I've been uploading more of my VODs and just some random videos of me like leveling characters, especially leveling my last Project Diablo 2 characters through. And I have been uploading videos there just so you can kind of take a longer look at characters, at my actual thought process, at how leveling certain builds goes, and then certain builds, if they're like a failed idea or just something I didn't have a ton of fun with, will probably just live over there and will just continue to be VODs. And if they're fun enough, then I'll make an actual build guide and put them here. And then you'll have, and then if you want to look at both, you can look at both. I just didn't want to have this channel be both a long video archive and also be a build guide channel. I just kind of wanted to do. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that if you are playing Project Diablo 2, remember, this is for the mod Project Diablo 2. This is not base game. I hope that you are having fun if you have checked this out as well. Mod is a ton of fun. The only disappointing thing about this game is that it will never be able to come to Diablo 2 Resurrected, I think. And that's the saddest thing, but otherwise, that's where this build is. That's where Project Diablo 2 is. And yeah, I think with that, we're signing off. I am very excited for new Path of Exile news. I will have another video about Path of Exile going out once we get the patch notes, and I can kind of take a look at initial build ideas for League Start, and I will do that. I will have that out once it's out. Otherwise, I will probably not have anything on this channel for a little bit, but I will still have, like I said, more stuff over on my Leveling with Bruised channel if you want to listen to me out more or anything like that. That YouTube, thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a good time. Hope you've been enjoying Project Diablo 2. Yada yada. I'm repeating myself. I know, I'm talking in circles. I'm so sorry. Have a good rest of your night. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.